After Augustus rose to power, the Roman Empire entered an age of unmatched dominance, stretching across continents, shaping laws, culture, and power for centuries. But no empire expands forever without consequence. By the late 3rd century AD, Rome had grown too vast to control. In 285 AD, Emperor Diocletian made a decisive move. He split the empire into two halves, east and west. It was meant to save Rome. Instead, it changed its fate. The western half collapsed in 476 AD, but the eastern half endured as the Byzantine Empire. From its capital, Constantinople, it preserved the legacy of Rome for nearly 1,000 years, its laws, its power, its identity. It was Rome still alive. But far beyond its walls, something new was forming. Not in palaces or great cities, but on the harsh, unstable frontier of Anatolia. At the end of the 13th century, the once powerful Seljuk Empire had collapsed under internal division and the crushing force of Mongol invasions. What remained was chaos, fragmented territories ruled by competing warlords. In that chaos, one name began to rise: Osman I. He was not a king. He did not inherit a great empire. He ruled a small frontier tribe, insignificant by every standard of the time. But Osman understood something others did not. To his west stood a weakening giant, the Byzantine Empire. Its borders were exposed, its defenses stretched thin. While others fought for survival, Osman chose direction. He turned his gaze toward Rome. His warriors, known as Ghazis, began striking Byzantine lands. Not reckless raids, but calculated advances. Villages fell, fortresses weakened, territories shifted. Slowly, quietly, his influence expanded. What began as survival became momentum. When Osman died around 1324, many frontier leaders would have faded into history. But his legacy did not end. It intensified. His son, Orhan, transformed expansion into structure. In 1326, Orhan captured Bursa, a major Byzantine city. This was no longer a raid, it was conquest. Bursa became the first Ottoman capital. For the first time, the Ottomans ruled not just land, but a city of power, trade, and administration. Under Orhan, something critical changed. Coins were minted. Governance was organized. Armies became more disciplined. The Ottomans were no longer a tribe. They were becoming a state. And then they crossed continents. In 1354, an earthquake struck the region of Gallipoli, damaging Byzantine defenses. Where others saw disaster, the Ottomans saw opportunity. They moved in and took control. For the first time, Ottoman forces stood in Europe. It was a turning point that could not be reversed. Expansion accelerated. Under Murad I, the Ottomans pushed deeper into the Balkans, confronting powerful coalitions and reshaping the political landscape of southeastern Europe. Then came 1389, the Battle of Kosovo, a defining moment. Ottoman forces clashed with a coalition of Balkan states in a brutal and decisive conflict. The outcome secured Ottoman dominance in the region, though parts of the battle remain debated by historians. But the result was clear. The Ottomans were no longer emerging. They had arrived. This rise was not built on chance. It was built on position, facing a weakening empire instead of stronger rivals. It was built on leadership, each ruler advancing what the previous began. It was built on strategy, absorbing lands, stabilizing populations, and expanding without collapse. And above all, it was built on patience. They did not rush history. They shaped it. By the end of the 14th century, the transformation was undeniable. From a forgotten frontier tribe to a power spanning 2 continents. And directly ahead of them stood the greatest prize in the known world. The city that had outlived emperors, invasions, and centuries of war. Constantinople, the heart of the Byzantine Empire. The last true seat of Rome. A city that had never fallen. But now it had a new enemy. And a new destiny. If you want to witness the moment Rome finally fell, and how the Ottomans claimed its throne, subscribe to Historical Truth and turn on notifications. Because the next chapter is where history breaks.